After years of saying no plans for token, Coinbase and Base just slipped the script. At the BaseCamp 2025 summit, Jesse Pollack and Brian Armstrong confirmed they are exploring a native Base token. Nothing's official yet, but before we dig in, did you know only 40% of you are following us across all socials? Come on, guys, hit that follow button and collect our episodes on pods.media. Your support is what keeps the bros going. Thanks. Okay, let's unpack this monumental shift. The unexpected news from BaseCamp 2025 about a potential Base token isn't just a minor update. It's a seismic event in the crypto world. We're talking about a complete reversal of a long-held stance by one of the industry's most prominent centralized players.
It absolutely is. And what's truly fascinating here, I think, is how much this announcement goes beyond just a simple product update. It signals a significant philosophical and strategic pivot for Coinbase and its layer 2 solution, Base. For years, the narrative from them was crystal clear. No token, period. Now, moving from that outright denial to active exploration, well, it doesn't just reshape the competitive landscape for Ethereum Layer-2s, it also raises these really profound questions about, the evolution of decentralization itself, especially when a corporate giant gets involved like this. This isn't just big news, it feels like a critical moment for understanding how centralized entities and decentralized principles might interplay in crypto going forward.
And to really hammer that point home, let's just reiterate the core news here. Base and Coinbase have officially confirmed they are exploring a native Base token. This is such a dramatic contrast to their very public stance for years, right? Where they consistently and pretty emphatically denied any plans for this kind of move. For context, this wasn't just some vague policy. We're talking about a commitment often repeated directly by leadership. So yeah, it's truly a remarkable pivot from a definitive no plans to a very public we're exploring.
That's exactly right. And this significant announcement, it came straight from the top. Delivered by Jesse Pollack, who created Base, and of course, Brian Armstrong, Coinbase's CEO, during the BaseCamp 2025 summit. Now, while it represents this monumental strategic shift, they were quite deliberate in emphasizing that it's still in early exploration. And that distinction is crucial, I think. It means we're not talking about a fully designed product ready to roll out tomorrow, like they stated. No design, governance model, or launch date yet. It's more like a declared intention, a strategic direction, rather than a concrete, imminent plan. This careful wording gives them flexibility, sure, but the commitment to explore is now undeniably out there, publicly.
Yeah. And despite that early exploration disclaimer, the immediate consequence, well, it's exactly what you'd expect in crypto, isn't it? Rumors of a potential airdrop are just spreading like wildfire already. Everyone from seasoned traders to, new enthusiasts trying to figure out how to position themselves. But it's absolutely crucial to clarify. Nothing is confirmed on that front.
Right. It's pure speculation at this stage, fueled obviously by what we've seen happen with other layer 2 launches in the past. Okay, so this shift clearly didn't happen in a vacuum. There must be reasons. What are the underlying strategic forces or maybe market pressures that finally pushed Coinbase and Base to pivot on such a long-held policy now? This is where it gets really interesting.
Yeah, you've hit the nail on the head there. The primary motivation, at least as articulated by Base and Coinbase leadership, is this clear move toward decentralization and community-driven growth. But let's maybe unpack what that really means for a company like Coinbase. For them, a token isn't just, a financial instrument. It's potentially a powerful mechanism, something designed to align interests and incentivize participation in a way that, frankly, traditional corporate structures just can't. So a native token would provide, as they put it, new incentives for developers and creators building on Base. Think of it maybe as a way to bootstrap an ecosystem where participants aren't just users, but actual stakeholders, people with a vested interest in the network's success through token ownership and potentially governance rights down the line. This can accelerate innovation, foster loyalty, maybe in a way that just paying developers or offering grants doesn't quite achieve. And if we connect that to the bigger picture, a token is explicitly seen as a critical tool to accelerate Base's decentralization, the goal being to make it less dependent on Coinbase and more community-led. Now, that's crucial for the long-term health and resilience of pretty much any blockchain ecosystem. For a project like Base, which started from such a highly centralized point under Coinbase, a token represents a pathway, maybe the only pathway, to gradually distribute control and decision-making power. The challenge, of course, and it's a big one, is navigating this transition transparently while still juggling the corporate responsibilities that Coinbase, as a publicly traded company, absolutely must uphold. It's a real tightrope walk, isn't it, between that corporate obligation and the whole decentralized ethos.
Right, a tightrope walk indeed. And it wasn't just about the token, was it? There was another major announcement that came out alongside this token talk, an open source bridge to Solana. That seems like a pretty bold move, connecting two very distinct ecosystems. What's the strategic play there, especially when you think about it in the context of their decentralization efforts?
That open source bridge to Solana, yeah, that's a really significant detail. It shouldn't be overlooked. It highlights Base's aggressive focus on interoperability. They're clearly not content just building a robust ecosystem within their own Ethereum Layer-2 silo. By building this direct open source connection to Solana, they're aiming to foster a more interconnected, maybe a more expansive Web3 landscape. The real insight here, I think, is how this bridge, if it's successful, could unlock totally new liquidity, new user bases, maybe even novel applications that were previously stuck in their own segments. It suggests a vision where Base becomes this kind of central hub or nexus connecting different blockchain cultures and potentially accelerating that on-chain culture they talk about just by making it easier for users and devs to move between these different worlds. It's a pretty pragmatic move to broaden their reach and utility, wouldn't you say?
Pragmatic. So, okay, we've dissected the motivations, the why now. What does this all mean for you, our listener, who's trying to follow this fast-moving crypto space? What's the potential impact, the relevance of all this for the broader crypto world?
Well, first off, it's really vital to understand where Base stands right now. It's already the second largest Ethereum L2 by TVL, total value locked. For anyone less familiar, TVL basically represents the total value of all the crypto assets deposited within a DeFi protocol or a blockchain network. A high TVL like Base has signals significant user adoption, trust, and liquidity. So Base isn't some small project. It's a major contender already. And with that kind of foundational strength, a Base token, well, it could easily be one of the most valuable new assets in crypto if and when it launches. Its potential market cap could be enormous just based on the sheer scale and activity of its existing ecosystem.
Enormous is probably the right word. And beyond just the market value, this move sets a massive precedent, doesn't it? It's like a real-world test case for how centralized giants like Coinbase handle token launches in a compliant, transparent way. This could genuinely redefine the approach for what we might call big corp tokens, potentially establishing a new standard for how established financial players engage with these decentralized token economies, especially when it comes to regulatory clarity and, fair distribution. It's not just launching a token, it could be launching a blueprint for others.
Absolutely. And of course, the immediate effect is that speculators are buzzing. You can feel it. There's significant excitement, obviously, about a potential airdrop for those early users farming swaps, bridges, and dApps on Base. And for those maybe less deep in the trenches, farming swaps, bridges, and dApps basically means users actively engaging with various applications on the Base network. So executing trades on decentralized exchanges like Aerodrome, moving assets between chains using their bridge, or interacting with different decentralized apps, all with the strategic goal of demonstrating active participation, hoping they'll qualify for some future token distribution. It's become this sophisticated, often speculative game with a pretty well-established playbook now, hasn't it? Drawing parallels to the strategies we saw with Linea, Arbitrum, or Optimism, where those early adopters got rewarded. It's almost like a ritual in the L2 space.
It really is. So ultimately, this move could reshape the standard playbook for L2s and strengthen Base's position in the on-chain economy. It's not just about adding a token for the sake of it. It's about solidifying Base's role as a major player and potentially influencing how other Layer 2 solutions, especially those with significant corporate backing, approach their own growth and decentralization strategies going forward. It's a real statement about how this kind of hybrid model, corporate support mixed with decentralized ambition might actually evolve. And this isn't just some abstract technical or market shift. It feels like a statement. Behind such a monumental pivot, there are always key architects driving it and a whole competitive field watching every single move. We've mentioned Jesse Pollack and Brian Armstrong, but let's maybe think about their roles a bit more closely in navigating this new path and how rivals might be reacting.
Absolutely. I mean, Jesse Pollack, as Base's creator, he was the face of the no token narrative for so long. So his public endorsement of this exploration is just critical for both internal and external confidence. And Brian Armstrong, as Coinbase CEO, obviously gives it the corporate weight and the strategic direction. Their leadership in driving this shift is absolutely pivotal, and you have to think their reputations are pretty closely tied to its success, especially in balancing those corporate interests with community expectations. The immediate response from the crypto community, that's been highly active, as you probably guess. Airdrop hunters are swarming. You see them everywhere online, meticulously detailing their activities. They're swapping on Aerodrome, bridging ETH, and farming dApps with real precision, hoping to qualify for whatever potential future distribution might come. They clearly see this as a potentially high-value opportunity just based on what happened with prior L2 token launches.
Yeah, the hunters are definitely out in force. And it's not just the users and the project leaders involved, right? Competitors are undoubtedly watching this like hawks. Competitors like Linea, Arbitrum, and Optimism are watching closely. Each of these already has tokens live or in play. Arbitrum, for instance, known for its robust ecosystem and that pretty successful airdrop. Optimism has its whole superchain vision. Linea, backed by Consensus, is also gaining ground. Base's entry into this tokenized landscape could fundamentally reset the stakes, couldn't it, for the entire Layer 2 ecosystem, potentially forcing competitors to reevaluate their own strategies, maybe even accelerate their own decentralization roadmaps just to keep pace. But it's not all going to be smooth sailing, surely. What are the big hurdles ahead on this path towards a potential token launch, especially for a player like Coinbase with its size and public profile?
The primary hurdle, I think, without a shadow of a doubt, is regulatory pressure. Coinbase, being a publicly traded company in the US, operates under incredibly intense scrutiny. They simply cannot risk a messy token launch. It's just not an option for them. This means compliance and transparency will be non-negotiable every step of the way. They'll need to navigate these really complex securities laws, potential classifications of the token itself, and ensure super robust KYC/MLO procedures, even for what aims to be a decentralized network. Every single step, from the token design to how it's distributed, is going to be scrutinized like crazy to make sure it meets existing and probably evolving regulatory standards. This isn't just a tech challenge or a community one. It's a massive legal and reputational minefield they have to cross.
A minefield indeed. And then there's that ever-present risk of just speculation overload. If the hype completely outpaces the actual clarity on the design or the token's utility or even just the development progress, well, those expectations could crash hard. We've seen this story play out in crypto countless times before, right? Where unconfirmed rumors and just unsustainable excitement lead to pretty significant market corrections. How on earth do you manage that level of fervent speculation without completely compromising the long-term vision?
Exactly. Beyond the regulatory stuff and the market hype, there are significant technical challenges too, specifically involved in ensuring token economics actually align with decentralization goals rather than pure speculation. This isn't just about getting the math right. It's really about behavioral economics. How do you structure the incentives to reward genuine long-term network participation, security, and true community ownership, while simultaneously trying to mitigate that inevitable short-term speculative frenzy that just always seems to accompany a major new token launch? Designing a token that genuinely fosters community ownership and network utility rather than just being another speculative asset, that is a profoundly complex task. It requires these incredibly careful balancing acts between things like inflation, staking rewards, governance mechanisms. It's tough.
Okay, so turning our gaze towards looking forward, what kind of timeline are we realistically anticipating for all of this? Seems like a token launch is pretty unlikely in the short term.
Yeah.
Most experts I see are guessing sometime in, early to mid, maybe? What needs to actually happen between now and then?
Yeah, that timeline feels about right. Seems realistic. Before any launch, Base absolutely needs to solidify its technical architecture. They need to iron out all those crucial details of the token's economic model we just talked about. And, of course, navigate that labyrinthine regulatory landscape. That takes time. And maybe the big question that needs a definitive answer is the token's fundamental design. Is it going to be a governance token, primarily giving holders voting rights over the protocol's future? Or will it be a utility token, mainly used for things like network fees, gas, specific services within the Base ecosystem? Or perhaps some kind of hybrid that blends both functions? Each approach has really distinct implications for how the network runs, how value gets distributed, and critically, how truly decentralized Base can actually become. A governance token pushes decision-making out to the community. A utility token might focus more on driving economic activity. That choice, it's going to be a defining moment for them.
And we should probably also expect more of those interoperability moves, right? Similar to the Solana bridge we discussed earlier, Base is clearly trying to cement itself as the central hub of on-chain culture and apps. So building further connections across different chains seems key to that strategy, expanding their reach way beyond just the Ethereum ecosystem. So as we wrap up this deep dive, it's just abundantly clear that the announcement from BaseCamp 2025 marks a truly monumental shift. Coinbase, through Base, has gone from years of denying any token plans to actively exploring a native Base token. This isn't just news. It feels like a potential game changer for the whole Layer 2 ecosystem and really the broader crypto landscape. It has this potential to redefine what a big corp token even looks like and how centralized entities engage with decentralized principles, possibly setting a new bar for compliance and community engagement in the process.
It truly does feel that significant. And this brings us, I think, to a final provocative thought for you, our listener, to maybe chew on. Given Coinbase's history as this regulated, publicly traded company and the current pretty intense regulatory environment, can they genuinely achieve compliant, community-driven decentralization with a new token? Really pull it off? Or will the inherent hype cycle of crypto just dominate the narrative in the end? overshadowing that incredibly intricate balancing act between corporate obligations and these decentralized ideals. What does this all mean for the future interplay between centralized giants and decentralized principles, especially as more established players start entering the tokenized world? It's a fascinating tension to watch unfold, isn't it? And one that will undoubtedly shape the next chapter of Web3.